There are a lot of us that spend a whole lot of time looking for lead sources and door knocking and cold calling and doing open houses and doing all these things. And we don't take the time to solidify ourselves as the go-to real estate bestie, the go-to expert within the circles where you already roam. Hey friends, I'm Rosemary Lewis, your homegirl, and I'm so excited that you are here. I do not care what it looks like on Instagram or HGTV. This whole being a realtor thing is not for the faint at heart. In 2017, I quit my job as a teacher to follow my real estate dreams and quickly found myself overwhelmed and struggling. Fast forward to today, not only have I been recognized as one of the leaders in our industry, I have actually grown a business that I absolutely love. I don't care if you're a brand new agent trying to figure out how to get started or a veteran feeling overwhelmed and just stuck. I was just like you, and I totally get it. Many times I wish there was someone that I could just talk to about all the challenges I was facing. And that is why I created this space just for you. Like best friends do, I'm giving you all the tea related to navigating and thriving in these real estate streets. If I can do it, guess what? That's proof that you can too. Everything's better with friends, so let's succeed together. Welcome to the Real Estate Bestie Podcast. Well, hello there, besties. Welcome to episode number 118. And listen, I have on all the warm clothes because today it is a chilly day in the DFW. So for those of you who don't know or don't remember, I'm originally from Chicago, currently live in a far North Dallas suburb. And one of the things about living in Dallas is that we don't get a whole lot of cold weather, but it actually does get pretty chilly here. And about 1 to 2 times a year, we have like these below freezing, like 0 degree. And look, the houses, our bodies, our cars, our roads, none of it is built for that. And I am recording this podcast on one of those days. And let me tell you about my life choices. So you all know a couple months ago, it's been almost a year now. Goodness, time goes by so fast. We added a little Yorkie sweet baby to our family, Louie. And Louis is one of those choices where, I would not trade him for the world, but if I could go back, I really realized that I did not consider a lot of stuff, right, when it came to getting this dog, from his temperament to what it would be to have a puppy at this stage of my life, and to what it would be to have a dog that I actually have to take outside in the bitterly cold weather. Not pretty, my friends. So right now I'm sitting in my closet recording this episode, trying to warm up, weighted blanket on deck. But nonetheless, we are getting to it with episode number 118, where we're going to talk about the hot topic of when friends choose someone else to be their real estate agent. Ouch. And I'm just going to start off from the beginning to say, listen, this is definitely a gut punch anytime it happens. But I just recently had a different perspective shift that I want to share with all of the real estate besties that, just will shed some light on how we handle these situations, don't lose character, but also giving you some perspective on what it really may look like on the other side. But before I get into it, this is what you can do for me on this cold day, or maybe you listening to it on a day when it ain't cold no more. Could you hit pause real quick and literally give the podcast 2 things? I need you to give us a follow, click follow, and then also give us a 5-star review, because in the podcasting world, that's how we let, all of the people on all the different podcasting platforms know that we're doing something special here with Real Estate Bestie. We are growing community, we are growing our businesses, and we are growing our lives together. So the more that you actually follow the podcast, every single time that you give a review, give us 5 stars. When you say a word, leave a sentence, child. I read every single single one. And it is definitely encouraging. It goes so much further than you will ever know. And I am forever grateful. And of course, please share it with your real life real estate bestie. Especially, everybody needs to hear this episode, because this is something that if you have not dealt with the shock, the disappointment, look, I'm being very dramatic, but no, like really the hurt feelings of someone choosing another agent over you and you actually have a relationship with this person. I'm not wishing bad on you, but likely it's probably going to happen at some point. So definitely share this episode. And the whole idea for this, y'all, I've had a couple weeks where I've wanted to record it, but we were in the swing of preparing for Real Estate Bestie Academy that just started. I'm super duper excited for all of the ladies who have joined us in that experience. But I had this like in the back of my head, like, yes, I need to have this conversation, because a couple weeks ago, so my husband, my baby Eddie, Corey, and I, we had this tradition where we always throw a holiday party, right? We used to throw it in Chicago before we moved here 10 years ago. And our holiday party was always the Saturday after Christmas, as long as it didn't follow New Year's. Like, we don't like to have parties for New Year's. We like to just be chilling with our kids. So in Texas, we continued that tradition. You know, COVID shut us down for a couple years and we started back up. And y'all, it's becoming a whole thing. Like, we are slightly considering buying a new house. We don't necessarily need a new house, but, you know, it's one of those things that's kind of swirling in the background, and we're just we're open. And one of the top reasons, this sounds so crazy, one of the top reasons that on my list, I don't know about Corey's, that I would consider a house, is because our house party is getting too big for the current house that we have. I am so grateful for community and all the people that we know, but I just don't know how many more years, even this year coming up, that we're going to be able to throw this, you know, this party. And somebody might be like, girl, you could just take it somewhere else. But then that defeats the purpose of a house party, right? You want to invite, anyway, I could go on a tangent, but nonetheless. So we have this house party a couple weeks ago, and like literally we had this couple that shut it down. Like, the party was probably over about 1:32, but y'all, when I tell you they just stayed and hung out and chit chatted with us until about, I don't know what time it was. They talked with us until maybe 3:30 in the morning. The conversation that I had with them actually sparked the idea for this episode. Okay, so let me set up the conversation before. So this is a couple where the husband and my husband are friends. Like, honestly, the only time that I met the wife prior to this conversation was literally our holiday party the year before. That's the first year that we met them. So this is a guy that my husband knows. Well, he was introduced to him. You know how it is. Somebody introduced you to somebody. They met on some real estate investment stuff. And then he just kind of, you know, one of those things where like, oh, all these different people, like, you find out that you have all of these different connections. They go to the same gym. So they have just become really cool over the past year. So what's funny is that I would say maybe 3 or 4 months after their initial meeting, where they just, after I met them at our party last year, so probably early spring, summer, my husband forwards me this text message from the guy. And it's pretty much him saying, hey, his house is on the market. Shoot it over to Rosemary in case she got a buyer. And even though, y'all, what's so funny is that, again, this is a husband friend. And you know how it is when you hosting a party. Normally, well, I'm going to give you the tips that I normally take, but they came to a party where I had 100 people. I'm hosting all these different folks. But even with that being said, even though I never really connected with them myself, when my husband sent me this text message, my initial thought was like, he ain't even, like, he could have gave me a heads up that he was selling his house, but I didn't make any efforts to bring them into my sphere. I guess I should say that. That's just how it worked out. So I just kind of like, I had that thought, looked at the pictures of the houses, you know, I don't have any clients that it's a fit for, and kind of let it go. So fast forward to our conversation. So they're hanging out, super cool couple. And it just so happened that the house that they ended up purchasing is right down the street from our house. So wife is like, you know, y'all are so cool. I remember from last year and we really need to get together. And of course, I'm asking them questions because I knew where they ended up moving to, about their house. Do they love it? You know, all these different things, right? because now I'm on my game, right? Now I'm not gonna say I have motive, but now I'm like, okay, one thing that won't happen is they won't forget I'm a realtor anymore. So in the conversation, husband, not my husband, the husband of the couple, he's like, Rose, first of all, y'all know I gotta like this guy. Like, he's super cool because I let him call me Rose. Like, my name is Rosemary. I digress. Like, sometimes some people get away with Rose. Nobody except my family. Unless you did not know me when I was in kindergarten, do not call me Mary. It's amazing how people want to break up Rosemary. But anywho, he's like, Rose, let me ask you a question, because here is something that I have just been so perplexed over ever since we got our new house. So he goes on to tell me how they have so many realtor friends, right? Like a vast network. And this does not surprise me, because even before we're having this conversation, what I know about this family, this couple, is that they're pretty well off in terms of business. So I just imagine, right, that they're pretty connected with a lot of different people. And, everybody knows 10 realtors. So it's probably 10X for them, right? Because he owns several restaurants, just the spaces that they're in. That was not surprising to me. He was like, but this is the kicker. Why did so many of my friends get so pissed at us when we sold our house? I mean, and he was genuinely, y'all, when I tell you, and this is the perspective shift that I want to share with you all, right? Because he was genuinely like confused, right? Like, I got all these friends, and when I reached out to them and let them know, you know what, we were not expecting this, but we ended up putting a contract on our dream home, and now our home is on the market. He was like, there are some people that to this day have not even responded, and friendships have been severed over us just getting our dream house. I don't understand it. So y'all, I'm listening, and here's the good thing. The good thing is that I don't drink no more. So if I was tipsy, I probably would not have had the mindset to actually think objectively, right? Because I would have thought, just from my regular real estate brain, like, oh, y'all bogus. That's why they mad at you. But I'm listening, and really it's the sincerity of their voice, because now wife chimes in to say, yeah, it is just the strangest things. It's people that, and y'all listen to their perspective. It's people that we have known for years. We've done things with, we've done X, Y, and Z. And, it just seems like they were not happy for our blessing. And I just don't really understand. And, I kind of paused and I chuckled a little bit. And we just began to dialogue, right? And y'all, truly and honestly, from their perspective, they were like, because let me tell you what happened, how they ended up in this situation where they were purchasing a home. They literally were just kind of hanging out, having like in a tough season. I feel like one of their parents were sick, and they just wanted to get out and do something, to kind of brighten their mood. So they drove through their dream neighborhood that they wanted to live in, and probably could pull the trigger, but just didn't know if the time was right and all that stuff. And it was an open house. And if there was an open house for actually a house that they'd kind of been eyeing. You know how you drive through a neighborhood and be like, ooh, I have one of those. Like, I have a house, a couple neighborhoods over from me. It's a white house. If they ever went for sale, right? Like as a matter of fact, in a little bit, if I really get serious about wanting to buy a house, I'm probably going to start sending them letters like, hey, I am your buyer, right? And we know how that is, when you have that house that you kind of drive past all the time, like, ooh, one day. And y'all, can you imagine? They were having just a tough season, went out to lunch, and it's like, oh, this house that we've always loved is for sale, and it's an open house right now. So they go into the house, because now they want to be nosy, right? They want to see what it looks like on the inside. And it literally checks off every box that they ever had. Like, it's even better from the inside than it was from the outside, and they just immediately fell in love. However, it was priced high. This was last year. It was interest rates were, getting a little bit up there. So it was priced more than what they thought would make sense for them. So it literally was just kind of like a little bit of a pipe dream. They took they met the agent that was there. They took the flyer home. They left the flyer on top of their desk, and they just let it go. Well, lo and behold, sometime later, and they say like months later, like 4 or 5 months later, maybe it wasn't that long. I might be lying. Time had passed though. It kind of was in the back burner. Time had passed. And he said he would often like go onto a website and just kind of go look, click through the pictures and kind of reminisce like, oh, that house is really dope. Well, one day he goes to the website and there was like a massive price reduction. Okay. And again, this is on the back burner. They're just thinking one day maybe we could get something like this, but then they go and they see the massive price reduction. Long story short, the flyer was still on the desk. They called the agent who hosted the open house. The agent who hosted the open house wasn't actually the listing agent. It was a new agent, y'all, a new agent who was there hustling, working to get in front of people. And long story short, that new agent sold them that house and went and listed their house. And let's just say it was over like $2 million in production. So for those of you who don't know what that is, that's like life-changing money, especially for somebody new, probably 50, 60 grand in commission. Okay. So let me get back to the point of them. So they're telling me now I know the backstory. I'm thinking of all of the intricacies that they might not be thinking of, but they're telling me like they really are so perplexed on how, this blessing for them has ended up being so detrimental for their relationships with a lot of their friends who are in real estate, and they truly couldn't understand why. And I know some of y'all might be rolling your eyes like, come on now. They really couldn't understand why. And listen, if I was not having this conversation with them, and remember, I am like a fly on the wall. I'm not one of the friends that they're talking about because they don't even know my little sad eye when Corey sent me the message. But I do remember the message, right? And I remember like, cause my husband screenshot it and it literally was like, hey, we put our house on the market. Let Rose know in case she has a buyer. And y'all, from their perspective, they truly, truly were looking out for all of their friends in real estate by saying, hey, I'm giving y'all an opportunity to come make some money with us. They really didn't see how their realtor friends could have felt snubbed. Does that make sense? I know it still don't make sense for somebody, but as we started to have the conversation, it literally lit an aha button on me, like a light bulb went off, because I was like, these poor babies truly, honestly, really don't understand how, their realtor friends feel. And it made me think about, this is like a small analogy, but it made me think about, I have a girlfriend who sells Mary Kay. Okay. I've bought some stuff from her, but and like this is her hustle. She's trying to get it off the ground. She's always showing me skincare stuff and this and that all the time. If like just a week ago, I went to MAC because I wanted to buy some nude lipstick, right? And I was in the area. I was in like this area called Legacy West by, not too far from where my office is. It was a beautiful day. I grabbed some Starbucks and I wanted to go play in lipstick. Okay. So I went and played in lipstick. I bought this really cute lipstick and went on with my life. At no point when I went to go play in lipstick did I think to myself, before I go and play in MAC, let me reach out to my Mary Kay friend and send her pictures of all these different shades that I'm putting on my lips to see if she has something so I can support her business. And also at no point did I think to myself, let me get this MAC because I'm not supporting her business, right? It was just, I took advantage of the opportunity in the moment, and that's how I ended up with the cute lipstick. And I know it's not necessarily tomato, but y'all, this was the feeling that I got from this couple. And that's the very first thing that I want to bring up in terms of perspective, is that sometimes when you have a friend who chooses someone else, they're not doing that because they are out to get you, or because they don't support you, or because like all these different things. That's not always the case. Sometimes you might have to have discernment about who you are honestly in community with, but sometimes stuff just happens, right? And because we don't always do a great job, like in that instance, even though I only met them once, I didn't do it. He knew I was a realtor, but I wasn't top of mind, right? I wasn't top of mind in that situation, nor were the other tons of realtors that they knew, because they ended up going with somebody else. And whether or not that was their issue, I know for me, I wasn't top of mind with them because no way, no how in my database, I wasn't pouring into them so that I would be top of mind. Something else that I know, and let me just give y'all a couple of tips when it comes to your friends and your family. Sometimes, and we had this conversation that night about some of their friends, is that sometimes we automatically assume that since we're doing something, and since you're supposed to be my friend, and since you claim to know me and care about me and all this stuff, we automatically assume that people are going to, number one, remember, number two, identify with us in that way, and number three, going to work with us, right? I'm thinking about, when I first transitioned from teaching to becoming a realtor, it would have been foolish of me to automatically assume that everybody that I knew would automatically choose me, even though I was probably this foolish, to buy or sell their house, because guess what? They didn't know me as a realtor, right? They knew me as a teacher, but I'm going to take it a step further. There are a lot of us that spend a whole lot of time looking for lead sources and door knocking and cold calling and doing open houses and doing all these things. And we don't take the time to solidify ourselves as the go-to real estate bestie, the go-to expert within the circles where you already roam, right? And that's one of the big things that I teach in Real Estate Bestie Academy, is that sometimes we just think that we want to grow a referral business because referrals are going to fall from the sky. But we have to be strategic about how we are staying in front of people. So that's number one. Number one, we cannot assume just because someone knows us, has relationships with us, that they're automatically just going to remember. I automatically don't remember my girl with Mary Kay, and I'm not like hating on them, but we just can't assume because, we made this post or they know what we're trying to do and we haven't proven ourselves. Like, some of you are top of mind as a real estate agent, but there is no proof that you are out here working your business, yet we expect them to just hand over this, the biggest transaction of their lives to us, and that's not going to happen. So number one, we can't assume. Number two, everybody should be on your radar. Like, I had a one chance encounter with this couple and then they left my mindset, right? Everyone should be on your radar, y'all. Like, I should have friended them on Facebook. I should have, made a better effort to connect with the wife, follow up with phone call, email, got connected with her, because everybody that you meet, every real estate closing starts with a conversation. And if we learn, or as we learn how to have conversations, how to build community, how to build rapport with people, that's how we become in their sphere. So everybody should be on your radar. Even your, like, when you're thinking through, like, who am I calling? Who am I touching base with? Talk to everybody. They should be on your radar. And then here's the next step. Everybody should be in your database, right? There is no shame. Like, my best friend in the world, her name is Mishela. And then my person, y'all know Kim. Kim does everything for Real Estate Bestie. Even though I talk to them often, I have a system of how I connect with everyone in my sphere of influence in my database. And when it's their turn for me to call them in my system, I still call them in my system, right? I still call when I'm supposed to. Everyone should be in your database so that you are intentionally connecting with them. So make sure that everyone is in your database. Okay, then here's the next thing, y'all. When it comes to friends, right? Make sure that we're being resourceful to our friends. Like, we want to position ourselves as local experts for the real estate market, local experts for connection, local experts for, restaurants, local experts. Like, we have to find ways to and when you're calling, when you are being strategic about how you're showing up, even for your homies, then you find ways to be resourceful. And then listen, here's the next one. And when we're being resourceful, when we're calling, when we're in front of them, make sure you ask for the business, right? Hey friend, It was good talking to you. And don't forget, I'm your real estate bestie. So if you ever need anything, you should be getting an email from me about your property value. If you talk to any neighbors, anybody you talk to that's looking for somebody that can help them out, just make sure that my name is always on your tongue, friend. And I'm always going to mention you, and you make it reciprocal. So every time we're talking to our friends, make sure that we are continually reminding them, like, hey, I am your source when it comes to stuff like this. Because the reality of the matter, like, I'm even thinking about myself. If I wasn't in real estate, the reality of the matter is that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes people don't expect to make the transition that they end up making. It just happens. Like, can y'all think about old girl who did that open house that day? Met one couple, and like, kudos to her. Like, met one couple and it probably turned into $60,000 or more for her, right? And the reason that that's amazing, that why we have to always be resourceful and remind people, because we just don't know. Somebody who may not have had moving on their radar. I've had people a million times tell me they're not going to move for 7 to 10 years, and something shake up in their life, and 3 to 4 months later, we are looking for homes. And it's not always because they had a major life event. Sometimes it's literally like, you know what? X is happening, right? We decided we need more space. I'm sick of parking up this hill, or, whatever it is. So making sure that we're staying resourceful. Here is a little bit of a come to Jesus conversation, okay? Some people, I don't care how close you are, some people just do not like mixing business with friendship. This question came up. We did a masterclass a couple weeks ago on listing more in 2024. And this is a question that came up. How do you handle it when you have a friend or a family member who, they're just insistent, they just want to work with their previous agent, and they don't want to, they are choosing, like, you're doing all the stuff, but they are making the choice not to work with you? Let me tell you what you do. Y'all ready for this? You respect it. Okay? You respect it. I would tell a friend, like, listen, friend, let me tell you something. First of all, who is your agent? And this was my answer on that MasterCard. Who is your agent? Because I would love to know them and connect with them, because I have so much respect for you, because that's what I'm doing. I'm building a referral business. I'm building trust between my clients, and I know how cool we are. So if you're telling me that though we are cool and we are friends, you have so much respect for your previous agent that you want to work with him or her indefinitely, like, I need to know that person. They need to be in my data sphere of professional colleagues, because I love the way, like, obviously they're running their business in a way that's making you feel comfortable, and that matters to me. Now, let's just say they don't have an agent, but they just don't want to mix business and pleasure. Listen, again, respect it. And I would let them know, listen, let me tell you something. This is why I would love to be your agent, because all real estate agents are not created equal. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am in this business to truly, truly educate people, because this is such an important, part of your life. Anytime someone buys or sells a home, they're opening and closing chapters. And this is why I do it. But here's the deal. I completely respect the fact that you don't want to mix business and friendship. So at least let me do this. Let me give you the name of 3 agents in our market that I trust, that if I'm not going to be the one to take care of you, I know that they are, right? And then you do me a favor, and if you know somebody else who I can help, you give them my name, right? And what that shows is that you're coming from an abundant mindset, because at the end of the day, some people are just not wired that way. Like, I can think of a couple of business things, where sometimes I've chosen to go with somebody neutral just because I didn't want it to taint the friendship or whatever, right? And you just got to respect that. I gave the example on that masterclass. Like, look, I don't care how great your mama can cook and how famous her pig feet are. I'm just not eating them because I don't eat pig feet, right? I'm just not going to do it, right? And haven't you all ever been in a situation where somebody offers you their special thing, and the fact that you're not interested does not mean that the thing they're offering isn't special. It's just not a good fit for you. And sometimes we got to look at it that way and not burn bridges because of that. But then here's the last thing I'm going to say, which is like an oxymoron to what I just said. Some people just lousy as hell, though. Some people, though, like some people, it is just telling their character. And unfortunately, you may have somebody in your sphere, in your database that unfortunately you're going to figure out through your profession that they really shouldn't be there. Like I'm thinking of somebody that can I call them a friend? I felt like we were working towards a friendship. But long story short, y'all, like they engaged me, reached out to me to help them buy and sell. I started doing a whole lot of work, having a whole lot of conversations, negotiated on, found them a new house, negotiated on what the build process would look like, has multiple conversations with the builder, gave them tips on how to get their house ready for listing. I even had paperwork signed, but then they called me and was like, yeah, we want to go in a different direction because we feel like we could save money. Them people right there, they were just lousy. Okay. They were just lousy. I could have taken action to protect my time in terms of like forcing to be paid on some things, but I just let them go because, in that instance, it just showed me that they were not my people. And because they were not my people, then, they just didn't need to be in my atmosphere, right? So in that case, like, you know what? I don't have to roll my eyes when I see you, but definitely the friendship door has been closed. You know what I mean? So I guess I'm saying all that to say, like, use discernment, but just don't write folks off. I wanted to give you all just a little bit of a different perspective because every time someone doesn't choose you, it's not because they're just being such haters. Sometimes it's just easier to go with somebody neutral than trying to decide between your 15 friends that are realtors. But the question that we want to ask ourselves are we really showing up and solidifying ourselves as the go-to real estate bestie? Okay. So if any part of this episode made sense to you, listen, can you give us 5 stars and hit that share button, share it with a friend. And look, we're already going to tell you every single week, we have a private Facebook community. Make sure that you're connected on Facebook because I do a monthly coaching opportunity called Coffee and Conversations. It's exclusive for everybody in the Facebook group. So get in it, rosemarylewis.com/Facebook, and we unpack different conversations like this in real time. So hope this was helpful, besties, and I will talk to you next week. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.